Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here with another decent deck profile. I'm covering Shojodoji today. So we do have a few new cards, and before we have some promos for quite a bit of while. And at first, when I first see the new upgrades of the Shojodoji, okay, I see the cards being stronger. I see a lot of things being able to like get done and such. But when I use the old style playstyle into making the Shojodoji deck and actually play it out, I was so confused because there actually is a lot of good cards that you need to know how they work in order for the new Shojodoji deck to actually be strong, right? So I will go over all those cards and what I was confused, so hopefully you don't need to go through that as well. Yeah, but let's go into it. First, for the right line, it's completely the Shojodoji one because you definitely want these two to go through to get you the pieces you want in soul, in bind, whatever, right? And even on the field, because that helps you to build up your early tempo and build up the stock of your soul, build up your bind zone so that you can start reusing them and start doing your combos. So far I think the Shojodoji right line is still the perfect one for the deck. And then also talking about the Grade 3 Shojodoji, what's different is instead of binding 2 before, now you're actually binding 3. And instead of using counter blast, now you're using energy blast. So one thing with the energy usage is like you always will kind of stuck at not being able to use 7 unless there is a turn that you don't energy blast 3, because we are on a 3-6-9 step. So if we always at 6, then we always use 3, go back to 3, and then we go back to 6, go back to 3, go back to 6, go back to 3, unless you are starting to utilize a lot of other energy cards, which it's not that much available, of course, and you kind of need to keep the deck more stealth focused. So in my build, you probably won't be seeing much energy usage except the Shojodoji. And in the past, we select 2 Riga Circle and only like bind the units there if there are units there, and then end turn go back to your opponent's hand, right? But now this time it's also bind 1 hand from your opponent's hand. So that is huge, because even though it's up to them to bind whatever card that is, but still, -1 card in hand could definitely ruin the game sometimes. They might just need that, even just a 5k guard to do the guarding, or they might need the combo pieces, because you do definitely have a lot of ways to deal with all those cards in the bind zone, to put them in the bottom of the deck, put them in the drop zone, so your opponents don't get them back, right? So the skill is very, very strong. And when this card attacks or being attacked, where you can put 2 regards into your soul and then choose up to 2 cards with stealth in the card names from your bind zone and call them each to front and back row. So you can't call 2 to the front row, can't call 2 to the back row, have to be 1 front, 1 back row. And if it's your opponent's battle phase, you can call it to the Guardian Circle instead of Riga Circle. In the community on Twitter, there's a combo that you can dodge Shiranui that is talked about on Shojodoji, but it's a little bit of complicating, so I'm not going to put it right there. But if you are like interested, you probably can search on Twitter, or if you really want to know here, then you can just comment down below, then I can see if I can find something for you. But it's a very complicated combo, but using this effect. So yeah. Okay, so usually you don't need to use the guarding part, and you don't actually have that much Riga stay on the field. You might still have 2, you might, but it's still a good option if you need that. But usually it's only for the attack, which brings in a front row and back row, which at first it could be like kind of like before, even though before you can only just get 1, now you get 2, but only basically 1 front run back, so it's kind of just a column. But if you utilize it well, you can link to a lot more attacks going on that your opponents will need to drop a lot of cards. Going into the main deck, first we have more Shojodoji. You have a ways to pick them up, so you can feel free to use them as a ride cost if you really need to. Hopefully not, but more souls and the personal ride power is definitely needed for you to win games. If not, your punches will always be so small, so definitely maxing out the personal ride. And then Unprecedented, this is your draw source, your power beater. I tried to drop it to 3, but then I don't see it work. Even though the time that I'm actually using him is way less than before. Because in the past I always rely on him to be a big beater to just crush my opponent with force. But now, to me, I think he's more something that you want to see during your grade 2 Shojodoji turn, so that you can call him out, do some stuff, and just try to recycle where you need it, right? But I still sometimes call him out to do the power play to force my opponent to draw some cards, because if I always do some weak punches, then it's not going to change the game too much. So he's good, and he is definitely a good draw source if you manage it well, so still recommend to actually play him. Okay, now next is to the new card, which is Stealth Dragon Oigijishi. So this is the new card we get from the set 3, and it with a lot of skills that actually makes the deck so strong. First, when this unit is placed on Riga Circle, look at the top 5 cards of the deck. Just after 1 card with Stealth with this card name from among them, put them into a show, shuffle your deck, put it into a soul, shuffle your deck. And if your opponent is grade 3 or higher, this unit will get plus 5k until end of turn. So as long as your opponent is a grade 3, it's a 15k beater, it hits. That's what matters. And it helps you to thin your deck by finding more stealth put into the soul. And the second skill, when this unit is put from Riga Circle into soul during your battle phase, which you have 2 ways to do it. One is from Vanguard. By counterblessing 1, choose 2 face-up cards in your opponent's hand, bind zone, not hand, bind zone, and put them into the drop. And you get all of your front row units with stealth in their card names get plus 5k power until end of turn. The 5k is given to you, the skill. So whenever you call new stealth units, they all get the 5k buff. So this is a card that you want to always put into the soul very early, if you can, so you can activate that plus 5, and then just doing punches that actually hits even when you without personal ride. Because with this, you can just simply plus 5k and make all the 10ks to hit a grade 3, which unless they hit a defensive trigger, they need to drop the cards, right? So there we go. But he uses Counter Blast, so do be careful on your Counter Blast usage, even though your Vanguard doesn't use Counter Blast anymore. But you don't want to get stuck because of the next card, which is the promo Shojodoji. So this is how you connect more attacks. First, when this card is put into your soul, you from deck or Riga Circle during your turn, bind this card and soul charge 1. So you don't lose any souls, and you prepare for your attacker with his second skill from the bind zone when 2 or more of your regards are put into the soul at the same time during your turn, which is basically your Vanguard skill. Then you Counter Blast 1 and core this unit to open Riga Circle. So it cannot call over. You have to call it to empty circle, which you usually put 2 in, so you should have at least 1 front row empty. And he wasn't that good because without personal ride before, he's only a 10k, but now with him you get a 5k plus, so he can actually be some little pokes, and his binding himself to soul charge another card is actually help you thin your deck even faster. So with a lot of high quality stealth put in Soul Search, you can actually meet your triggers a lot easier. And then Izaso. So this is some older cards from BT11, which I think is still very helpful because he search a stealth card into your hand by looking at top 5, and if he's being put into soul during your turn, then you can choose your opponent face up Bind Zone card, one of them, put the bottom of the deck, and then choose your Vanguard to get plus 5k, so at least let your Vanguard to be slightly different in asking for guarding power. And it takes out a card to the bottom of the deck. Sometimes some cards are still useful when they are in your opponent's drop zone, so instead of putting them there, you them back to the deck and it's bottom, so unless they get a way to find them back, which you probably will just use this to put them into the drop zone, you can put them to the bottom of the deck. You have choices. And next is also a new card, which is Kinran. So this is a card that I was so confused with this little guy right here, Kakechika. So I was used to Kakechika, where I put cards into my soul, and then I do a lot of actions, and then after that I bind him to draw one, right? I put him in the soul, not bind him to draw one. So when this card is here, which he simply just at the end of the battle, when this unit boosts, if you have a grade 3 or higher Shojodoji card is named as a Vanguard, put 2 regards, which is in the same column of this card. So this and the card basically in the front row into the soul, choose a grade 2 or higher unit with stealth and its card name from the drop and add it to your hand. So when I play this, when I have this, I was confused, because if I put 2 into my soul, right, I pick something up, but then my field will probably only have 2 cards left, which means I can't put this card into the soul and draw one, because if I do that, that means my Shojodoji will not have targets to put into the soul. So I was like, wait, it's not right. And it's true, it's not right, because I was running 4 of this, so that's why I was stuck. And I even at a point that where I want to cut this out, because I was still in the old mindset of this card. But the truth is, I should actually focus on this more, because this can activate this, right? How? Is because you need to have 2 cards to put in the soul when this card in the bind zone to counterblast and call him out, right? So when one of them is in the bind zone, and then say your Vanguard is here, you have something like this, you have this, and then you have, say, like this and this, right? Just say something that is what you have. Then when you do this and put 2 inside and grab yourself a grade 2, before your Vanguard attacks, you can actually call this out, right? If you have more, then depends, and you don't always have to do it right now, depending on how many you have in the bind zone, but assume that's the case. So you do your first attack, and then you can actually also do this, right? That's one thing you can do. And then when your Vanguard attacks, you can do this too, right? Or you can use this to punch a little regards, use this to punch again while this one is still standing, and then you use this to put these 2 inside, because it didn't say front row or back row, right? And this one will just bind himself again, so you can use it for next turn, and then you will bring something, or not even just next turn, you can just bring 2 things out, right? And if you have another one, you can put one down, and say you put this down, right? Just say that, and by doing so, you already activating another one if you want to, and you also have this to plus 5k, right? And that's not even ending. And after you do this to put this 2 into your soul again, which activates the one that you previously put inside, and you can actually call it back. So you can just keep looping to do a lot of attacks if you have a lot of them, but you do need to be very clear on what you are doing, because I was confused for quite a while, and hopefully not for you. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot of things that can be happen with this deck. So yeah, that's why I actually cut these and keep 4 of these, and then make a little bit changes to allow this and this to do more little pokes, and I just see the right timing, call them out, and then just look into how I set up the field, which you can see my little demonstration is like already something that you need to think a lot. So definitely a good card. This is still a good card. You can still put some cards from drop zone into your soul, which is stealth, so that you can reuse them, because some cards you definitely want to reuse, for example this one. So yeah, and even just these ones that you can just put them into the soul, even though it won't activate the soul charge and bind itself skill, because it's not from Regal Circle, not from deck, but then you have a chance to bind them with your Shojodoji skill, then you can reuse them again. Okay, next is Raidon Kunai. Definitely a good defensive card, especially against guard restrictions, because it's a tanky shield. The more you have, the stronger you are at. You do have a chance to bind this card to when your other units place on Regal Circle from Bind Zone to get that unit plus 5k, and you can counter charge 1 if you have not counter charged this turn, but I rarely do that skill. If I do have a chance, I will, because counter charge is definitely important. This uses counter blast, this uses counter blast, this uses counter blast, and they use quite a lot, so have a chance to counter charge is actually very important. So he's still at 4. And then 2 Folktail, just in case I need to do some search, some squeezing, make sure my deck is thin enough with a lot of triggers, then hopefully I can win a lot faster. And then use the PGs from Shiranga because it's stealth, and because it's with the bad attacks, so we don't need to use the starter one anymore. Unless you don't have it, then you better still use the starter one with stealth. But if you have this, definitely use it. And then the this other shield, because it's more of a competitive build, so I'm putting it there. But if you are using 4, I think that's fine as well. Some people just prefer to have 4 of the stealth PG so that they have a better chance to actually grab them instead of seeing this and you can grab. So it's up to you. Triggers. No need to pick. Restanding is definitely always great. I tried the others so far. This is still better. So there we go. And with triggers, for crits I'm just using normal crits because I don't actually play the soul in crit to soul in, so yeah, I don't see a point of using that. So hopefully you can save some money on that, but if you do already have, up to you if you want to put it in. This is stealth, so make sure it's there. Front is always good, even though your attack sequence might not be fully utilizing a front trigger, but the 20k shield is definitely helpful. And again, depending on how you set up, front can actually benefit 3 units instead of 2. And then 4 heals, if you want to use effect heals, feel free to do it. Yeah. So a lot of stuff is actually kind of the same, while you are open to a new way of making attacks because of Kinran, because it has to, well, it creates a different timing to put 2 cards from on the field to the soul, which activates this, and as long as you time it right, there's a lot of attacks coming in. I heard some people even can do like 9 attacks in a turn. Even though it costs you a lot, it requires you to have a lot of setup, but it's possible. And if your opponents have no defensive at all, that will be a pain, especially when you are going first. Even when you're doing like 4 or 5 attacks of the small pokes that neither drop all their hands or they just don't have enough cards to gun and they take too much damage and they lose next turn, it can happen. Because Shojodoji is supposed to be a fast deck, not exactly rushing, because you do need to fake a lot and it gets stopped sometimes by defensive, but it's definitely seeing more and more plays, and it wasn't a deck that I think a lot of people thought this deck can like topping that much or seeing more plays in the competitive scene. It comes up from time to time with the old Shojodoji, but this time this is different. With the right pilot, with enough training, with knowing all your combos, and with the luck to make sure your opponents don't get a defensive trigger, this is definitely a deck that can bring you a lot of victory. So give it a try, but it really takes a lot of practice because it took me like 2 weeks into knowing what it does. I was so confused until I started to see people play in tournaments, how they work, some combo videos on Twitter, how people make the combos to actually start learning, because I'm always learning how to play new decks, especially like these that use a lot of brain power. And when I actually know how it works, I play it, there's still a lot of things to think, and I couldn't afford to play this deck with so many games. It will definitely burn my brain. Compared to Sogar, I think this is more complicated on play. Sogar is more complicated on deck building, and then when you actually go in, is some combos that you already know, but it seems to be some combos that you already know, but then it adds in a lot of things that you really need to deeply think. And if you place your regas wrong, then some of your combos might get ruined. So do be careful, give it a try, let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I think that's it. Comments, let me know your thoughts on the deck. Do you like it, do you not? Do you find it difficult to learn? Do you find it easy to play? I don't know, let me know. Subscribe for more deck profile, deck fights, unboxing videos. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.